All right. Let's take the 3 refuges and now asking for forgiveness. And the 3 refuges and also the 8 precept. Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bante buri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipana anuttara sa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Buddhang saranang gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami Tisarana gamanang paripunang Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Sura meraya maja pamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Nacha Vita Vadita Visuka Dasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami Uccasayana, Mahasayana, Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Nyanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta Sa. Towel, remove the towel. Right. Let us start with a bit of guided karuna before we start the Dhamma talk. So relax the body here. Keeping the mind peaceful, clear, and calm. Whatever tension in the head, relax. Forehead and face, neck and shoulders, chest, stomach area, back, hips, the thighs, joints, knee joints, kneecap, calf, ankles, soles, toes. Relax the whole body. Keep the mind calm and peaceful, open, free. May I be free? No, wait. Let us imagine first. Let us imagine in a hospital, in a ward, that we can see people, patients, going through all kinds of illness or sickness, physical or even mental. And we wish them to be free from all their suffering, from all their illness or sickness. We wish them to be free from all their sickness. Now let us look unto ourselves. Whatever physical ailments, sickness, suffering that I'm going through, may I be free from all this sickness, sufferings. Whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be healed from all this suffering. Whatever suffering that I go through from day to day, may I also be free from all this suffering. May I be free from all the suffering, from this cycle of birth and rebirth. Whatever physical suffering I'm going through, may I be cured from all this suffering. Whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be healed from all this suffering. Whatever suffering on the daily basis, may I also be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering due to the samsara, may I be free from all this suffering. Now let us spread our compassion. Let us spread the compassion to all the beings around here. In this meditation center, in this locality or neighborhood, may all the humans or non-humans, guardian devas of this center, other devas surrounding here, all other petas or spirits, to all the animals, big or small, seen or unseen. May all beings around here, whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they be cured, may they be healed from all their suffering. Whatever mental suffering that they are going through, May they be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering due to from day to day, may they too be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering they go through, from the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all those suffering. Whatever mental or physical suffering the beings around here are going through, may they be free from all their suffering. May they too be free from all the suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth. May they be free from all those suffering. Now let us spread the compassion. Spread the compassion to all the beings in this whole country. May they be humans or non-humans, near or far. May they be the devas or petas, animals seen or unseen, big or small, near or far away. May all beings in this country, whatever mental or physical suffering they are going through, may they all truly be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering they go through from day to day, may they be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering they go through due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all those suffering. All beings in this country, whatever mental or physical suffering that they are going through, may they be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering from day to day, may they too be free from all those suffering. May they all be free from all the suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth. Now let us spread this compassion to the whole wide world, to all the beings in this world without exception. May they be our loved ones near or far away, to those whom we do not know wherever they are, to those whom we dislike or those who dislike us. to all the beings, to all the devas, to all the guardian devas of the sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, to all the pitas, to all the animals, big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all beings in this world, may they all be free from all their mental suffering. Whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they be free from all those suffering, illness or sickness. May all beings in this world able to live in peace, live with kindness and compassion, and not in cruelty, violence or war. May all beings in this world, whatever suffering they go through from day to day, may they be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering they go due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they all truly be free from all their suffering. Whatever mental or physical suffering they are going through, may they all truly be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering from day to day, may they too be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they all too be free from all those suffering. Now let us expand. Let us expand the mind and expand the compassion to all the beings without exception, without boundary, without limitation. All beings in this universe or universes. All beings from the highest planes of existence down to the lowest planes of existence. All beings in all the world systems. May all beings without exception, whatever mental or physical suffering they are going through, may they all be healed from all those suffering. Whatever suffering they go through from day to day, may they too be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all those suffering. May all beings without exception be free from all kinds of mental and physical suffering. Whatever suffering they go through on a daily basis, may they too be free from all those suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all those suffering. May all beings be free from all their suffering that they are going through. May all the suffering ones be suffering free. May all the suffering ones be suffering free. All right. Now let us let go of the compassion. Bring the attention back to the body again. Feel the chest. Feel the rise and fall of the abdomen. Feel the body. Then we can slowly open our eyes. Okay. What did you talk yesterday? Cittānupassanā. Yes. Yes. Now I was saying yesterday that when we want to note Cittānupassanā, there are certain ways to note this Cittānupassanā. That a yogi must at least to differentiate between just knowing a citta and Cittānupassanā. Knowing the citta, knowing a mental state, or the mind itself, or the consciousness itself, or the heart. Here is like, for example, when you note the restless mind. You take note of the restless mind, and then if you just know a restless mind, and you don't see it change or don't see it do anything, then not to say that you're not mindful, you're mindful, but you're not doing Cittānupassanā. You're aware of it. Just like a lot of people, they thought that just by aware of the state of mind, whenever they are out there, just aware of their anger or greed or elated mind, joyful mind, those are not Cittānupassanā yet. Not yet, anyway. But you are knowing the state of mind, the citta. Just like when the yogi also pay attention to their rising, falling. If just noticing the rising and falling only, and does not scrutinize or see it more precisely or more thoroughly what is really going on with the rising and falling, then if they don't do that, just rise, fall, just relax on the rise and fall, then it's just knowing the kaya only. And they're not into the kaya nupassana yet. Hmm? Like those who are taking up the in-breath, out-breath, also the same thing. If you're just aware of the in and out of the breathing, then again, it's just kaya only. You are knowing the material phenomena only. But it's not kaya nupassana. But if you're noticing it like long, short, fast, slow, changing here and there, yeah, disappearing, arising again, and so on, yeah, in the in-breath, out-breath, then it falls under kaya nupassana. So when it comes to the kaya nupassana, when it comes to this satipatthana, that means you have to pay attention to the object thoroughly, clearly, precisely. Now, since we are talking in the Cittānupassanā, yesterday we talked about the restless mind and how we pay attention to it. As long as we don't go into their story, into their drama, or recreating the whole memory and so on, if we don't go inside it, and then we start to pay attention to it, restless, restless, restless. And with that, when you begin to see how it changes, sometimes the restless mind changes faster, sometimes changes not so fast. Sometimes it can get a little bit of like a very noisy mind. You begin to see its characteristic. Sometimes you begin to see how it slowly fade off, but not completely, at least you know. Sometimes you see completely it fade off, and how it actually come back again. Now, sometimes you can able to see it right in the beginning, like the restless mind is going to come in. It's going to slowly, then you see the whole fire arises of the restless mind. So you see the changes of what is the restless mind is doing. And that is, you fall under Cittānupassanā. So too, when you notice the sleepiness too, you notice it's not alert, sorry. You notice it's now that alertness begin to dim off. You go slowly dim. You begin to notice its mind is very heavy, dark. And sometimes you can notice the darkness getting heavier. Sometimes you notice it like sinking into an abyss like that. Go inside that to know how to come out. You may see that all these things is happening while you're paying attention to the sleepiness. Then you can see the mind getting bright and then getting dark, bright, dark. So when you notice in this way, you are noticing the Cittānupassanā regarding with the sleepy mind. Because of that, because of your noticing this, noticing those objects again and again, you use those objects as your meditation object. Right now, it turns into a meditation object. Therefore, when it turns into a meditation object, mindfulness is regained, rebuilt all over again at the background. So when the mindfulness rebuilt again, now therefore, it's going to overcome the sleepiness or the restless mind. Because the sleepiness and the restless mind, they are still, in a way, they are hindrances. Although you can still take them up as a meditation object, but you have to finally remove them. These are only states, these are only things during in the meditation that you remove them, the defilements, the hindrances. All other phenomena, you should not remove them. You have to see them as they are. Hindrances also, you also see them as they are. But because of the mindfulness arises, then they will fade away. But many times yogis did the wrong thing. Especially they want to remove the pain. They forget about it's the anger or the aversion that is behind it that they are supposed to overcome. But they cannot withstand the pain. They just want to remove the pain. Every little pain, they can't take it anymore. So every time pain arises, the body tries to move, try to make it disappear, or want it to disappear. So many times, yogis tend to not to make something disappear. And that is your whole ulterior motive. That you don't want it to happen. You don't want the suffering. You cannot see those suffering. Yeah? So when it happens in this way, that means, again, you are not seeing things as they really are. You just want things to happen your way, other words, to make things more pleasant or less uncomfortable or less suffering. So many things are yogis doing it wrongly. Until you are more experienced, until you have more experience in development of this vipassana, you see that a lot of this vipassana, as you develop further, there's only minute changes that's happening within your mind, within your actions. That minute change, together with the attitude or understanding that changes, then it really helps in the meditation. And you clear a lot of these blocks and entanglement or hindrances along the way. So yesterday also I talked about the consciousness when a yogi begins, especially to be able to notice the impulsion of the heart. You may see, sometimes yogi sees a faster impulsion, slower impulsion. Sometimes yogi sees that the impulsion may just run here and there. So those things, you have to learn to pay attention to them. They are sometimes the beginning of understanding or penetrating into the nature of the mind. Sometimes those things can go a little bit more faster. So don't overthink about them. Don't think about whether it's a heart or this and that. It's just the nature of the mind. So learn to feel them. Learn to feel them and learn to feel the whole arising, passing away of the mind. Come and go, come and go. Good. So there are many states of mind that you're going to encounter. Not only this, there will be anger, desire. There will be so many states of mind. As you practice in this meditation, you will definitely encounter them. So don't reject them. Don't push them aside. When they become prominent, pay attention to them, see what happened to it, then things become clearer to you. Now, also, yesterday, towards the end, I tried to differentiate between Cittānupassanā and Dhammānupassanā. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit more on the Dhammānupassanā. Now here, whether it's Citta or Dhammānupassanā, it's not like one is better than the other. Each one has their own function. Sometimes some yogis thought that they are done with all the Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana. Now I'm a Dhammānupassanā yogi already. High level yogi. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. Each Kayanupassana or Vedana or Citta or Dhammānupassanā, each has their own function. And maybe later I'll just go through it. Now in the Dhammānupassanā, yesterday I mentioned that you must be skillful in all the first three. That is to say, you must be skillful in aware, alert, or able to know how to note your bodily objects. You'll be able to note all your feelings, your hardness, softness, your feelings, your pain, your pleasantness, your uncomfortableness, itchiness, and those things. Then you must be capable and proficient in noting those things. Then also you must be proficient in noting the state of mind. Then to notice the state of mind, how it is. So because when you come to the Dhammānupassanā, it's the interaction of various objects. Various objects here can be a multiple discipline. That means the condition can come with feelings and mind and body all interacting together. When you see them interacting, how they condition each other, those fall under Dhammānupassanā. Yesterday I gave you the example of if you note the intention, you note many intention arises, only when the intention arises, then the movement takes place, or the hand starts to move, or your legs start to move. Those falls under actually Dhammānupassanā. But as I said, we don't, when we are meditating, we don't have to go and think whether this is Dhammānupassanā or Kayanupassanā. We don't have to think of them so much. Just most important, we know what to practice. The talk here also helps you to see various ways of how we can note an object or those objects. Now, in the Dhammānupassanā, let's go back to, as I said, we talk about the restless mind. We talk about the restless mind, and the nature of the restless mind is that in the Cittānupassanā, you only pay attention to the mind only. You don't associate it with other things. But when you come to Dhammānupassanā, the main subject here is the restless mind, but you must see how those things are connected to the restless mind. It can be before things that cause restless mind to arise, one thing, or restless mind that cause other things to arise. So you see a cause and effect, a series of cause and effect going through it, just on the restless mind. So here, the yogi must be quite familiar with the states of mind, with the body, with the feelings, and so on. And you must not like thinking that this is just very simple thing, like every day also you can know it. Now, yesterday I gave an example on the sleepiness. When you're sleepy, what happened to your head? You start nodding. What happened to your body? You start moving. You start fishing, pulling up and down. To us is that this is just, you don't need me to teach. You ask a 5-year-old boy also can know, isn't it? But why is it that falls under Dhammānupassanā? Why it has to be directly known also? Because if you know it as a yogi, noticing in this way how the sleepiness and the movement of the head taking place, then this is how you notice it as non-self. The aspect of non-self, of anatta. When you do it out there, you ask somebody when you are sleepy, do you nod or not? Yes, I nod. Yes, I move the body. To them, when you are doing out there, you look at it from a perspective of self, atta, I doing it. Whereas when you are here, noticing what is going on, you begin to notice it happening, like things are happening, this arises, that arises. This disappears, that disappears. Because this sleepiness arises, nothing takes place, arises, nodding again take place. Then you notice in this way again and again, and you see the nodding taking place for a series of time, for a number of times. And then you pay attention to it as non-self. You don't know that it is already you're looking at non-self. The mind, the thinking is not going to tell you it's non-self, but the perception of non-self is already goes into you. And that is important. So don't underestimate it. Those things that look so simple that we think we know it. But when it comes to the meditation, really when you're paying attention to it, the perspective is different. The nature of how things is very different. And this is important. Yesterday, I also mentioned that when the restless mind arises, when it arises, then there's a tension that builds up in the body, for example, or somewhere hard or somewhere tight and so on. Then you notice that when the tension arises due to the nature of the restless mind, the more the restless, the more tight they become. Then you see the association of it. Then also when you notice that the restlessness become less, tension also slowly become less. And then if you notice in that way, then again, you notice the association of what is happening between those objects, then therefore you're seeing anatta. Yeah. And that is important. That is really important. Because a lot of times we ignore all these small little things. Now, sometimes when you are more careful, you begin to notice that restless mind arises because of something else. How does the restless mind arises, for example? Or desiring mind arises. Now here it comes with our, let's say, connected to our seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking from our six sense doors. And then we also have to be careful because these six sense doors are also very subtle objects. It's not easy for us to note those objects. Now, in the beginning, when you are training this vipassana, you are given the instruction of noting seeing, hearing. But do you do it? This is all the beginning of the training. No, those days also I've also seen hearing, hear me. See what? Nothing to do, you don't feel anything on it now. Just seeing, hearing. There's no activity, there's nothing there. So after a while, I also gave up, Just not lifting, pushing, dropping, and whatever. But that is where I was wrong, After I become more clearer in the meditation, then we begin to notice that seeing in the beginning part, Then there will be times that seeing, then it begins to a lot of hey, somebody in the internet there is turning on the microphone.
Oh, look at this little fan.
You see? Yeah. Okay. All right. So as I said, when you're not seeing, as you become more skillful, you got to be careful of sometimes thinking that come in together with the seeing. Yeah. You're not seeing, thinking. Then it comes. Then you're not seeing, thinking, coming again. And not only that, sometimes it also comes with a strong feeling. If it's a neutral feeling, it will may not able to see. Not seeing when you huahi, you're happy. Pleasant feelings arises in the body, or pleasant arises in the mind. Pleasant. Then you notice again, like joy arises this time. Joy, 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 joy. So you begin to see one object after another object. Yeah. You begin to see how those seeing process is not just only seeing, but there are a lot of associated feelings and associated mental states that's coming in, and even sometimes the body may feel something. So that is interesting that you open up your whole perspective of taking up various interconnected vipassana objects. Yeah. So you take note of it. You got to be very careful, this thing, You got to be very sharp, very mindful. For example, if you want to try it during in the walking meditation, walking, and then not hearing. So when the hearing takes place, let's say it's a strong hearing that taking place, then you note, is there any, in the beginning, is there any unpleasantness of the hearing? Then unpleasant. Is there any like anger? Is there? If it is anger, is there not anger? Because sometimes we got to ask ourselves first, It's not so easy just directly see everything, Yeah. It's about training to getting used to the different states of mind that is happening, that's connected with the hearing process. Can do that. Looking to the wall. Sometimes these are the things that this is part of vipassana objects that is being taught in the suttas. But a lot of times we are comfortable with the objects that we want to need. A little bit of rising, falling, a little bit of sleepiness, sleep thinking, and so on. But when it comes into a more deeper objects, people are not so keen of noting all those things. So my job is to help you to keep your mind open. And keep your mind open, keep your mind sharp also. That all these type of objects, you should learn to feel them, to note them. Yeah? If you don't get it first time, it's perfectly all right. It's all about trial and error. It's all about that. You're not going to get it the first time perfect. No. It takes us some time for us to build up on these things. Take sometimes, like for example, if you are very clear during the sitting meditation, mind is very alert. And sometimes the sound may just come in as just strong sound and then disappear. It hit your eardrum and then suddenly you get shock, for example. And then you this time already you must note shock, unhappy, or fear that's coming connected with this one. So it is important for us to take note of those things, the senses. Even in your eating also the same thing. When you're sitting down, when you're tasting something. Now when you're tasting something, you're tasting. Then that day I said that naturally the mind will think of what is it that you're eating. Naturally. But as I said that you must not fall into it. The moment you fall into it, the story, and then you start planning already. Yeah? Or start recalling all the memory that once upon a time you have this food also. Yeah? So you got to be careful. So this time, when you taste something and then you recall something, this time when you recall something, then you know, recalling, thinking. If it's a memory, you know, memory. Just try and see, It's you begin to explore even in the eating process, tasting or chewing. Then there's a whole lot of thoughts and feelings are surrounding it. Sometimes you eat something pleasant, something good, and you bite it, it's very agreeable to you. Then that joy arises. Then not the joy. Joy, 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 joy. Biting, biting, chewing, chewing, joy, 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 happy. ก็在看,ก็在吃,ก็在 joy. Or if it's unhappy, then of course you note it as unhappy, unpleasant. So see them as they are. They are just around the corner only, you know. Whenever that you do all these type of things, then here we are, we begin to expand our scope of our objects of meditation. And then it makes meditation very interesting. There's always some objects for you to notice. And you notice in different ways, it makes the vipassana more exciting, more interesting. So it is good actually. Yeah, it is good for you to notice these things. Now, in the Satipatthana Sutta, there are a number of categories of, there are 5 hindrances, there are 7 factors of enlightenment, there are 5 faculties. And then there are, what else? No, not faculties. There are 4 foundation, there are 4 noble truths, and so on. Now, here, 5 hindrances also, yes, God. Now, we don't have to look into all the category, We don't have to look into them. Of course, this is not a Satipatthana talk, but if it's Satipatthana talk, we go through one by one. But what is being taught in that Satipatthana Sutta, in the chapter, in the area of Dhammānupassanā, that, for example, when it comes into factors of enlightenment, which you have mindfulness, investigation of Dhamma, joy, effort, then you have tranquility, you have concentration, and you have equanimity. What is being said by the Buddha is that it said that if you have mindfulness, you know that you are mindful. If you do not have mindfulness, you know that you are not mindful. You know also what are the causes for the mindfulness to arise. And you know what are the causes for the mindfulness to disappear. You know what is going on. It's being taught by the Buddha in this way. But the thing is that we don't really do it. The problem is the yogis don't really do it while they're meditating. All the 7, it goes like this, something like this. Now, take for example the mindfulness. Again here, when we are mindful, we have to know that we are mindful. That is to say, you must know the state of mindfulness. How is the state of mindfulness arises compared to a state of when you are restless mind? When you are alert, when you are mindful compared to when you are not, when you are sleepy. So a few times when during the past of some of the talks I have mentioned, I said that when things are happening next to each other, say that at one time you are restless, you are thinking a lot, suddenly everything cut off and your mindfulness comes back again. And at time you know that your mind is really alert, clear, present, and you know what is happening. Compared to just before when your mind is fully noisy. So during this time, you know that the state of mindfulness is like this. You know that it is that. Then it's good. Because in other times, when you are not so mindful or you are lacking of mindfulness, you immediately know that this is not mindful anymore. This is not alert anymore. Yeah? Or you even know that mindfulness has dropped 50%, for example. Not completely zero, but dropped 50%. Yeah? So for example, so this thing, it is very helpful, for example, to detect when sloth and torpor is coming in, for example. So sloth and torpor slowly coming in, while you're paying attention, you know that the noting becomes dim. So here you know that how the mindfulness, how the alertness of the mind begin to dim because of that sleepiness is already going into you. So because of that, you see two areas, sleepiness, alertness of the mind or the noting mind, and how this thing affecting it. You begin to see its nature, how they are both affecting each other. And then that is wonderful because that time you know that when the mindfulness is there, you know it's there. When the mindfulness is not there, you know it's not there. Sometimes also you can do this. When you are restless, let's say, you are thinking a lot, thinking, then you instead of noticing restless, then you can notice also not mindful right now, not mindful right now. Because that time, the nature of mindfulness is not there. And it's correct also if you notice that it is not mindful right now. And a lot of times, when my own practice, when I'm not mindful, I just say that I'm not mindful. And I know the state of not mindful because the mind is a bit, a bit this one. But then the moment I say that it's not mindful, 3 seconds or 4 seconds later, mindfulness come in already. Yeah. Or sometimes if I meditate, for example, then the mind is 乱了, then I say, not tranquil. It is not tranquil, ma. It's not that. It is not that. It's just restless only. We acknowledge that it's restless, but at the same time, there's no tranquility inside there. If it's tranquility inside there, that means the restless might all disappear. So there's no tranquility. So not tranquil, not tranquil, not tranquil. Not calm, not peaceful, not peaceful. After that, the peacefulness will come in. It's a trick. But whether it's going to do it on you, that's, I don't know, So you see, it's a different way of noticing it. And it's quite interesting, actually. You begin to notice things as in terms of the factors of enlightenment. And you know that those factors of enlightenment, and you feel that there's something is missing there. You know that when the mind is restless, the concentration may not be there, or the tranquility may not be there. So if you're able to notice it in such a way that tranquility is not there, then acknowledge it. Tranquility or calmness is not there, or peacefulness is not there. Yeah. So that's how you know when there's mindfulness, you know it's there. When there's no mindfulness, you know it's there. When you are peaceful, you know it's there. When there's not peaceful, you know it's there. And then it's also good to know how that mindfulness come about. How the mindfulness comes about, or how the tranquility, how to arouse that tranquility. And how this mindfulness will lead you to more things, and how mindfulness or tranquility or concentration will lead you more things. And also, you also know that how this mindfulness starts to drop off because of the certain things that you have been doing. Now, this one, more or less, we also cover it. We cover it quite a lot. In terms of, just normal Dhamma, just talk. But for example, when we take a simple example, that you know that a mind that is very clear, very alert, very sharp, that when you do a good walking meditation, you could do a good walking meditation, walk, 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 and then when you sit, you know that, wow, the mind is so alert, the mind is so clear. That means that you know its cause or causes of how to arouse that alertness of the mind, that clarity of that mind. Uh, it may be like I mean the noting mind is all the factors of enlightenment marshaled together, all as one. So it doesn't matter. What matters is that you know that clear alert mind. How does the clear alert mind comes about? It comes about because of that walking meditation, that you do it carefully. No. Now, then when you do that, through your experience, you know that how these things causing these states of mind to arise. Then you know that every time you come to a retreat, you become very skillful. Not only skillful, but the time for you to adjust from your outside world to inside to the retreat become much more shorter. It takes you 2 or 3 days, you are ready to go. If you are a beginner, it may take you until 1 week, 10 days only, you start to calm the mind down. So it is important because all these things you may think of it is just this, but actually in the sense that they are, you know the causes that what is happening towards arousing it. So you remember to do all these type of things. Yeah? For example, also like sometimes we see it for ourselves. If you so happen to have conversation with people or other yogis and talking or messaging or whatever, then you come to your meditation, then all the conversation, the chit-chatting, the repeats everything all over again. And it's very clear that those talking and or even reading all the messages while you are in retreat. So because of that, you can notice that all the thoughts arises, and you know that it's because of that talking. You know it. Yeah. So next time when it happens in that way, then you know. Restless. Then after that, you know how the restless mind, and you remember all these type of things. And these things, and it's part of, in a way, Dhammānupassanā also. You know the causes, how it arises. You know what are the causes to prevent them. You know what are the things that you're supposed to prevent them. So Dhammānupassanā sometimes can take on to a wider things. Every little single thing that you're going to do can fall under Dhammānupassanā. So small things like this, small things like that, it can be very helpful because you know the causes, how this thing arises, how things disappear. Now again and again, we talk about the prominency of an object. On the Vipassana, you take note of a prominent object because prominency of an object determines or directly determines the arising of the mindfulness. Directly. That one I have to drill it into the yogi again and again and again and again. But the nature of this prominency, it can change a lot of ways. A lot of ways. Because these are directly contributing to the arising of that mindfulness. How this you take up a clear, prominent object, immediately mindfulness arises. Again, here, factors of enlightenment. The cause arises, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect. Now, the prominency of an object regarding on mindfulness is that this prominency is not what you cannot expect it how it behaves. In the beginning part of the meditation, the beginning part of the meditation, the prominency of the object is that you're supposed to take up a very clear object. Simple as that. Walking is a clear object, pay attention to it. Lifting, pushing, dropping, you notice the hard, soft, this one, because they are clear object. They are prominent object at that present moment. Pay attention to those things. Then when you sit down, rising, falling, rising, falling. After that, rising, falling, poliao. Then you notice sitting, touching, sitting, touching. Oh, then after that, rising, falling, come back more clearer. Then you go back to rising and falling. You do that, correct. Not to say you're wrong. Yeah? But prominency of an object can come in multiple ways, because it can come in like multiple bodily objects can come in together. Multiple bodily objects. That is to say, you notice a rising and falling. At the same time, you can notice the heat also that is within the rising and falling. Sometimes, not all the time. Or sometimes you notice the movement of the rising and falling. You can notice the heaviness or the tightness that is going together with the rising and falling. Or while you're noticing the rising and falling, it is going fast. And then here you can notice that the body is like tightening a little bit. You feel that the body is straightening. So there's multiple objects that you are running around in the body, that you are going around in the body. And that is perfectly okay. Because while you're noticing that, each and every moment that you notice an object, mindfulness is being struck to arise. It's being aroused to arise. Every moment, even you don't stay with just the main primary object, but you move from one object to another, within the body, still the mindfulness will arise. As long as you don't think too much, don't think. If you see it is in that way, then it's perfectly all right. But the problem is that a lot of yogis is that when objects begin to become more prominent in other places, even with the rising, falling is still there, they're reluctant to change from the rising and falling. Reluctant. Nge, hold on to the rising and falling. First few times if you do that, it's not a big problem. But because of sometimes when we thought that we learn Mahasi method, everything is rising and falling on it, and nothing else is important. Then with that idea, yogis ignore other objects, even they are more prominent than rising and falling. So when they hold on to it, that is where they overstretch their mindfulness, they over push, they over pressure onto it. And then that is where all the tension and all the headache and all the this headache and tension when it arises, it's become a physical problem. This is not just a meditation problem. Meditation, when you get up, okay, all disappear. But this tension follows you back to your home, follow you back again from the next retreat, back to when you next retreat again. Because you will do the same thing all over again. You're going to do the same thing. Just take one object, ignore all the rest. That can be a big problem. One of these problem is that also, sorry to say, sometimes the teacher only want to hear the rising and falling only, and nothing else. That's where the whole state of the yogi's mind thinking that rising and falling is the most important object and nothing else, because the teacher don't want to hear any other thing. Then again here, because of that, yogis have that very narrow idea. Other words, the teachers also has a very, sad to say, and this is happening a lot of times, and many of the yogis in this way going to end up with a lot of tension, a lot of unpleasantness, a lot of progress is not going to go far, because only you think of rising and falling on it. I used to do that too. Not that I don't. And I know that there's a flaw in it, big flaw. all the tension that arises because of that thing that I've done. Then when we begin to more wise up, then we see that Mahasi didn't teach wrongly, Mahasi teach rightly. It's just that sometimes disciples like us do it wrongly. Anyway. Now what is important here is that when the prominency changes, you got to change with it. You got to learn to change with it, because the moment that you change with it, the mindfulness arises. Other words, it's become continuous and it's balanced in that sense. Now, again here, prominency of an object can go into multiple discipline. That is to say, from body to feelings, feelings to mind, mind to physical, and it can go on within all this interconnectedness. The whole mind may not stay there even for a second, and sometimes you may stay with it a bit longer. Pain a little bit. Sometimes after that, thinking arises. Thinking arises and connected to the pain, and you know that the thinking is there that's connected with the pain. And you know, thinking, pain, thinking, pain. That time, got no time for you to label also. At that time, you may need to drop your labeling, because the object moving quite fast. And it's moving from one hardness to pain to thinking to heart palpitation, and then it's moving here and there throughout the whole mind and body process. And if that happens also, at times you have to follow it as clearly as you can, as you can. Sometimes these things pick up, the prominency pick up even much more faster, as if like 3 or 4 things happening at one go. So if it's